Your character is the core of the TerraClash game. Each player chooses one of these at the start. So we're just going to run through the demon card to show you what the icons mean and the rules as well. On the top left of each character board you've got your basic stats. So at the very top there you've got your spell stat. So number 4 shows how many spells this character can equip. So each spell has a spell capacity, some are 1, some are 2 based on its power. So this character can equip 4 slot 1 spells or 2 slot 2 spells or a slot 2 spell and 2 slot 1 spells. The sword represents how many wound dice this character can roll when on an successful attack. So in this case it can roll 1 wound die if it lands an attack on an enemy. So wound die has values of 0, 1 and 2. So this character can do 2 max damage each successful attack at its base level. But yeah, so weapons and accessories can increase this stat as well. Also, if you roll a critical with a 6 on your attack roll, this value is doubled. So if you rolled a 2 with your wound die, that would then be 4. If you rolled a 1, that would be 2. The shield icon is your character's defense, so in this case it is a 2. So an opponent has to match or exceed this with their attack roll, which is the d6. So if they rolled a 2 or more, all the way up to 6, the critical, then they successfully hit your character, and then he can roll their wound die equivalent to the wound value on their card. This stat can also be increased by accessories and shields too. Then the little devilish looking icon with the green plus sign, this is your Terra card type buff. So if you draw a Terra card which matches this, for example the Cursed Ruins, then that character gets a +1 buff to spell, wound and defense. So it had 5 for spell, 2 for wound and 3 for defense. Then on your bottom left you've got your ailments. So in this core game there's poison, there's berserk, there's burn, and then there's freeze, which is crossed out at the bottom. So if it's crossed out, that means this character is immune, so other opponents cannot cast freeze on it. However, if it does not have a cross, then the rest is fair game. We'll talk about these ailment stats in a different video, but when you get an ailment inflicted, you place an icon on it to show that you are inflicted. Then on the bottom of the card you've got your durability counter. So every player starts with 10 durability. So you've got an icon to measure that. When you get hit, then this goes down. So if you receive 2 wound, then you'd go down that way. So all the way down to incapacitation, which we'll talk through on a separate video. But I think most of you know what that means in terms of winning the fight or losing. So then each character has its own passive ability at the top of the card on the right. So in the Demon's example, the Dark Pact reduce your durability by 2 and add 1 to either your wound or defense stat for the rest of combat once per go. You can stack this, so if you cast it on your next go in combat, then that would be +2, but then you'd lose 4 health. So if I was to cast this on myself, I'd lose 2 health, but then I could increase my wound to 2, for example, making the demon more powerful. And then on the next go I could reduce it further and then increase it even more, give me more wound dice, so it gives a bit of flexibility over this character. And if you add healing items, then that could become quite potent. Then below the top ability you've got 3 abilities with a number next to him. So the number signifies how many Terra coins you need to unlock these. So that would be 2 Terra coins for Blood Magic, 3 Terra coins for Sacrificial Shadow, and 4 Terra coins for Demon's Fury. If you lose Terra coins, you do not lose these abilities. So yeah, once you've unlocked that, that's permanent for the game. So we've got a token to show that that's unlocked. Then we'd move that down, and then 4 would be unlock all abilities. Yeah, so these are all unique to each character. So Blood Magic, reduce your durability by 2 to restore a spell's use by 2 once per round. So we'll talk about spells in a different video, but basically they have uses and you can restore them by sacrificing your durability here. Sacrificial Shadow, after winning combat, restore durability equal to half the opponent's total. So if you're against one creature and it's got 6 durability, then you'd reduce that, or you'd restore your durability by 3. So that's very handy for the demons, seeing as they can lose health to become stronger. And then Demon's Fury, which is a powerful spell casting ability. So when casting a spell, roll the action die, and if you roll 3+, you can cast that spell again, because usually you can only cast a spell once per combat go, or another equipped spell. So if it's a spell in your inventory, you cannot use it, but we'll talk about inventory and equipped items in another video. So in addition to these, we also have skill cards. So there are 8 skill cards that you can choose at the start of a game. They're skill cards which are more appropriate for different character classes, but you can have a skill card from a different character class, so you've got a bit of flexibility on your build. So these work differently to the abilities, but I'll talk about that in a different video. And then finally, you've got this yellow icon at the bottom, which stands for relic. So in the game, you've got relic weapons. So each character has a corresponding relic weapon. So there's only one of these each in the deck, and we'll talk about them in more detail later. But if you find one that is relevant to your character, you unlock a special ability. So as long as you don't lose that item through trade or a opponent stealing it through smuggle at the port, then you keep this ability. So you reduce your durability by 1 if you're the demon with a cursed staff, to re-roll 2 of you or your opponent's wound dice, and you can use multiple times per go. So that is the character class in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed the description. We're very excited about these unique mechanics that add a role-playing element, especially with the skill cards, which we'll talk about later, which add a bit less kind of binary actions to cards. Yeah, you can choose to cast them in a different way to abilities. Yeah, so love to know your thoughts. Yeah, drop anything in the comments, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ping them over too.